Down 6-5 entering the 9th inning on Tuesday. The Rays were able to bash 3 home runs and score 5 runs in a comeback fashion against the Washington Nationals. Joining me now is Jeffrey Springs, who was a part of what has been a very historic start to the season for the Tampa Bay Rays. We'll get into his performance on Saturday. Jeffrey, take me back, though, through what was going through your head in the 9th inning when you're watching all of this unfold yesterday.
Oh, man, it was unbelievable. We were sitting in the dugout, and, the first pitch, Rayleigh jumped all over it and got us going. Him and Josh Lowe going back-to-back. It was very impressive to watch, and just the way the rest of the inning unfolded. The good at-bats, Yandy, the double there, and the homer by Yandy and the double. It was really fun to watch and great to be a part of it. Just, if we keep it close from a pitching staff perspective, we know those guys are going to pick us up, and they did a great job last night.
And you're currently in the middle of the longest win streak to start a season in franchise history. But what I love about this, Jeffrey, is that you're doing it on both sides of the ball. If you look at the amount of runs that the Tampa Bay Rays have scored, you guys are only 1 run behind the Dodgers in all of baseball. And you look at the ERA of the team, you guys have a 2 ERA, which is second best in all of baseball. How are you doing it on both sides?
I think guys are just continuing over from what we saw in spring training. I mean, like you said, the pitching, we felt like we're throwing the ball pretty well. And the offense, I mean, the good at-bats up and down the lineup, guys that are, running the ball out of the ballpark, hustling down the line, putting together good at-bats. It's what we saw in spring. And, what we were excited about is just we're playing, we feel like, pretty complete baseball on both sides. And it's exciting to be a part of, and, hopefully it continues. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Shane McClanahan, Zach Eflin, Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen, Josh Fleming, and oh, by the way, you don't even have Tyler Glasnow right now. I mean, you guys are nasty when you look at a starting pitching rotation. How much fun is this?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, those guys that you mentioned, just, getting to work with them day in and day out, watching how they go about their business, true professionals, all of them. And then, like you said, the stuff that they have on the mound, the ability that they have is incredible. And like you said, missing Glass right now. I'm sure he'll be back soon. But it's, we pull really hard for each other. We're constantly, talking, trying to help each other, from whether it's sequencing or talking grips or, whatever it may be, just constantly trying to, bounce ideas off of each other of how to get better. And that's all it is. There's no egos, amongst any of those guys. And it's just, a bunch of guys that want to go out and compete and want to be, the best that they possibly can.
Jeffrey, you keep saying those guys, those guys. You are one of those guys. You're coming off a breakout season in 2022, but you weren't content with the numbers that you had last year after a career year. Tell me more about the work that you did with pitching coach Kyle Snyder to break your split into 2 different types of breaking balls.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I felt like, I did pretty well last year, but obviously, like you said there, I felt like there was a lot of room to continue to improve. To me, it wasn't, full season of starting, so there was a lot more I wanted to do, from the innings, the workload, and then, things that we talked about throughout the season. I felt like if I could add, a bigger sweeper breaking ball, just to kind of give a different look, a different velocity, give the hitters hopefully another quadrant to kind of cover, so to speak, on top of, what I already do, with the other 3 pitches. It was something we discussed at the end of the year, and working with him, I mean, he's unbelievable. So it was something, that really hammered in spring training and tried to get a feel for. It's something, still a work in progress, I feel like, but it's definitely trending in the right direction. So hopefully it'll continue to trend that way, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so the slider is now a sweeper and a breaking ball with a tighter spin. I love your story, Jeffrey. You were a 30th round draft pick, 888th overall. Yet you come off a career year and you signed a very nice extension. Does it just go to show that not every path to the bigs is linear and you had to do it your own way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't wish my path on anyone. It wasn't the, the typical path, so to speak. But, I wouldn't have changed it for anything either. It, made me who I am today. And, I'm very proud of the path that I had to take and the journey. But very fortunate that I was able to continue to get opportunities, coming through the Texas organization, the chance I got in Boston, and then coming over here to Tampa. Like I said, I wouldn't change it for anything. I don't think I'd be the person I am today if I didn't go through, the ups and downs. But very excited to be here and, in the position I am today. So it's kind of surreal most of the time.
And you know, maybe you're just a late bloomer. Your manager, Kevin Cash, says that your stuff is playing at an all-time high. When you hear those types of comments from your skipper, what goes through your head?
It's awesome. I mean, you know, for them to have the confidence that they do in me, it goes a long way, definitely. You know, if they believe it, you know, everybody up and down the staff, you know, they truly believe in us, and that helps tremendously, you know, because it's really hard. You know, there's going to be ups and downs. It is what it is. That's the way baseball is played. But when they're, you know, constantly investing in you, constantly pulling for you, you know, it helps tremendously.
You know, you seem like a very humble guy, a guy that is incredibly respectful. And I know that the local media has already asked you about being taken out when you were throwing a no-hitter. But for the national media, maybe our viewers are not necessarily sure what happened. So you're throwing a no-hitter on Sunday. So you have 6 no-hit innings on Sunday. And Kevin Cash, your manager, comes to get you out of the ballgame. I mean, that's a very precarious situation for a manager to be in. But it's also very early in the season. What were you saying to him when he came to get you out?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in the moment, I didn't even realize there was no hits. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but it was just, you know, I had the one walk. I felt like my stuff was pretty good that day, and I was able to, you know, have some efficient innings. So I felt like my pitch count was okay. But, you know, as far as that, him taking me out, you know, my job's to pitch and get outs. You know, I trust him 100%, and it's, you know, they have our best interests. You know, they're looking at the bigger picture, you know, trying to be, you know, as healthy and strong in, you know, September and October as possible. So I understand that. And then, you know, they know we all want to pitch as much as possible from the competitive side. Nothing needs to be said. He knows I'm going to go out there and pitch until he takes the ball from me. But, you know, it's like I said, they're looking at the bigger picture, and they're doing it with our health and, you know, what's best for us. So we 100% trust, you know, what they're thinking. And, you know, so, you know, I told him hopefully there's another opportunity, and then maybe I'll kind of argue into a few more innings. So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, maybe you can talk your way into staying in there longer the next time through. I like where the mindset is. You know you're going to be there the next time. But it's funny that you mentioned the walk, because you also had incredible swing and miss stuff. You had a career-high 12 punch-outs. Did you realize that going through, that you really had, you know, that strikeout stuff?
As far as like the number, no, but I felt like, you know, I was able to mix and match pretty well. I felt like all 4 pitches were complementing each other, and I was able to, you know, move the fastball around well enough to keep them off balance. They got some good hitters in that lineup, and, you know, just trying to be as efficient as possible. And I felt pretty good, but like I said, I didn't know the numbers. You know, like I said, I knew I was getting some guys out, some early contact, and just, again, trying to, you know, 1 pitch at a time, 1 hitter at a time, and be as efficient as possible.
All right, another lefty and Shane McClanahan going today for you guys as you try to make it 6-0 to start the 2023 season. Jeffrey Springs, you are a big reason why Tampa Bay is off to such a good start. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.